Too much. And there's that Lissandra.
Yep, shout out to Wadid, who was saying that the draft was going to revolve around this one. Not going to happen in the second round, as Faker is going to have that one denied.
And I do think, I'll say it, Faker's Aurora has not been iconic, right?
Yeah.
It's not his best pick.
I was going to mention it, but I also didn't want to mention it, you know?
Gen.G have made that clear in this last Lissandra ban that they're not as worried about it either.
Well, let's see where he does decide to go instead. It's going to be Carrier on the cow. The Carrier Alistair has been an absolute menace so far, and it's so similar to what Mata used to do.
But now
it was just give me the cow, I'm going to win us the game.
You've now given the information to Gen.G about what your support pick is, so they can respond. And Faker already knew the matchup, so perhaps just trying to buy time to discuss and see what they're up against before making that final choice.
So they might have put the Jace into the jungle, and then they're putting the Zehen top.
Or vice versa, potentially.
Canyon was playing a good amount of Jace jungle in solo queue recently, and specifically the Zehen here. So you make sure you're not matching the Jace into Sion, and Zehen into this lower damage composition full of a pretty bulky front line is going to be so hard to
There's a lot of things to hit. A lot of things to hit.
It's been
the Poppy support is the option for Duro.
It's been such a classic counter pick too, the Zahin into the Sion, because it has the free early game. The Poppy, it's a great choice here as well. There's so much range, but also hard engage in this comp for Gen.G. It's ended up being a brilliant draft. Let's see what Faker is going to play here in response to all of this. This is going to be the crux of this entire composition, what holds it together. He's got a lot of thoughts. I think they picked the Alistar first because he wasn't sure yet, and this is going to go down to the last second left.
Olaf! Okay. So Faker has played this before. I was actually there. I'm
not sure it's Faker.
But it could be Faker.
I think it's Doran, and they're putting Sion
mid Sion.
Because Chovy's just never going to be able to cut through or really have pressure against the Sion. And the
Gen.G, because Doran has had comeback games on the Olaf.
I think this draft for T1 in the early game is incredibly weak. We'll see how they pilot it here as we jump into the game.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the third game of the series. Wolf.
So you're telling me you have an Alistar Senna lane, you have a Sion mid, and an Olaf that can match well, okay, into the Zahin top side. And how are you going to get out of this early game without wounds? How are you going to get out of this early game without some scratches, right, is the question I have, because this is so much range in this comp here for Gen.G, plus the engage, so the backline access of the Senna, you're going to have to play really well. You're going to have to be the one that makes the first move with your incredible frontline and your Wukong to keep the Senna alive. But if you fall too far behind in the mid game, or you end up with a situation where you have to fight a dragon you don't like to because they got double dragon and a Tex soul, there's so many ways this can go wrong. But I do agree that it's a very creative answer, and I think it does make sense. I do like that they opted for the Sion in mid and the Olaf on top for the reasons Ox already pointed out. Let's see how they weather the storm, because early times are not going to be easy times for this T1 draft.
I think the one thing I'm really concerned about in this game for T1 is Zehen, because I think even if the Jace, Annie, or Mel get fed, there will come a point where they can't just combo the Olaf and he can become a real issue. But there's a hen into 4 melee champions. If he's fed, I don't think T1 have an answer to that. So even though we've seen before Doran not have a great lane on the Olaf and come back strong, I think the bigger issue here is going to be Keen being enabled by that. So this top lane matchup going to be very important early on.
Well, this mid lane matchup is Faker using a very large health bar in order to try and stay alive against the Nanny. Olaf is just going to wander past the turret and look to take out all of these minions. Keen realizing that he probably wants to get some experience in gold, so isn't going to stop him just yet. Azona is finishing his full clear of the bottom side. Canyon doing a very similar thing as he did. Just have a bit of a check-in towards the top lane just to make sure that Keen was going to be okay. He was, and then he gets himself to his purpose.
We haven't seen the jungle Jace in a really long time. It was very prevalent at the beginning of this year when it got some changes to its jungle clear, and we saw it a lot at Kespa Cup, for example. It was almost permaban for a while because it was so strong in the jungle. Even though it wasn't winning, if you guys remember, like it was almost always banned, and then it would lose on the rare occasions we did see it on the Rift. but it is definitely a lot of power in the mid game and zone control with an already robust range poke on the Mel. So if you try to punish it as well, there's so much peel with the Annie, the Poppy, and the Zahin that's going into the melees.
There was also recently a match in the LCS, I believe, where Inspired did something similar to this, where they flexed it into the jungle to give a better top lane matchup. So it's interesting we're seeing that again here.
Yep. I like the creativity. I also like that this is obviously deliberate as well. Holding onto that flex, you pointing it out, Ox, that he has been playing this one in solo queue.
Yeah, I do. It is funny because you see the picks Canyon plays in solo queue. That's like Jace, Diana, Quinn, and Bessa. And you're like, well, he's been practicing these. How likely are we to see them?
Yeah.
And it's nice when
Maokai,
one shows
Shaman,
up. Yeah. But definitely, don't always go into every match thinking we're going to see Quinn jungle.
This stat here, Chovy was the last one to play it against Fate.
Chovy actually 2021.
He did play a ton of mid-Sion in 2021. And I mean, I say a ton, it was like 3 or 4 games, but you know, when no one else was doing it, that felt like a lot back then. So he actually has a lot of experience with this pick, but now he's playing into it with this Annie.
A little bit of a different story at the moment.
Like, Chovy was the mid-Cassante guy as well.
Yeah, and the mid-Aatrox guy.
Yes.
Renekton also, although that I think belongs to Showmaker a little bit. Yeah, there are certainly a lot of melees that Chovy has liked to play in the past. And it's kind of weird. It's reminding me of, like, you know, 2012 TSM. You know, just watching Reginald run around the Rift on Sion before he became a real champion and not just a stun that would build only Doran's rings. Oh, what a time to be alive.
What's interesting is that we had the change to the role quest where you no longer get that empowered recall, and now you get 8% extra AD and AP, which just is not offering much to Faker right now.
Well, Ruler is going to go for a little bit of a merry jaunt here. Finds a snare onto Pays, though, and Canyon going to show up with a shock blast. There it is.
Well, that's the thing about Jace jungle is he doesn't have that great CC setup a lot of junglers have, but he can at least just kind of hang out and get some first strike gold. If he doesn't see the angle for the kill, he just shock blasts in and at least collects some money for his trouble.
I think what's nice is at least the lanes have a good amount of setup. The least is keen in the top lane, and he at least can flip them back, and it's a longer lane. But mid and bot lane, there's a lot of CC to work with, which I think is kind of important if you are having that Jace jungle. Otherwise, it is just that farm into first strike poke.
Yeah, and we saw even the Mel can you do Senna setup for the Jace potentially if those rebuttals do come through.
Well, Chovy does now have the bear in hand. Faker can go back to base and then ulti back if he would like to. Only taking a bit of damage here from Canyon as the decoy comes out. Doran coming over the top though. Kane is just following him down, and we can see the top lane is incredibly even. Cute little Bramble Vest here from Keen as well, just to try and nullify a lot of Doran's power. Will put him a little bit behind his Trinity Force, but definitely picking this one for lane is going to feel great into both the Wukong and the Olaf. And in fact, building as much armor as you can is going to be a great move into T1 just in general, because I do not see magic damage, like at all.
The Sion shield explosion.
Sorry, I apologize. Wait,
Alistair's got a little AP ratio, you know?
He's just gonna go static shiv.
Hey, there you go. Actually, never mind. Static shiv. That's massive. Okay.
I will say there is at least armor shred that's gonna help out. Oh, they're going for a play.
Yeah, Ruler's gonna have to flash as there is Faker finding the unstoppable onslaught. Knocks Duro to the sky, but doesn't have a whole lot after that. Still flash available here for this Poppy. He might actually have to use it over the wall and does so as Ruler finds a snare onto Carrier, who just uses his headbutt out of the way.
That was very cute from Carrier there. You know, something we hadn't talked about, which is in the rare cases where Sion is mid, is he kind of becomes a global threat with his ultimate between both top lane and mid lane for roams. Because
it's not a train anymore, it's a boat.
Yeah, he's going straight through the river. And in this case, able to get multiple critical flashes here. So that is a big win for him. You can see the lanes, though, in this early game and the jungle, with that first strike coming through here, are naturally ahead. Gen.G, without any kills here, have picked up a 500 gold lead off of their early lane advantages alone. Let's see if they can push that advantage into some of these real objectives here.
Oh, there's an interruption from Duro.
He really wanted to channel that.
Yeah, he did. Adjusts his microphone and then gets back to pressing Q. And absolutely does so, as Faker at 500 health. Bount has the same amount of health as Chovy, is what it feels like, even though he is sitting at about 20%. just Scion things. That's only going to get worse as this game goes on, as Canyon going to be starting off these grubs, and there is no monkey in sight.
They have
I think
control
he should be able to
vision.
take this.
They have control vision on the entrance there. They have vision on the dragon as well, so he feels very good about this.
Oh, that's a bear. That's all. That's my play-by-play, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a bear.
That's all there is to say.
That's pretty unbearable.
It was a bear.
Oh, I apologize, Ox. I'll try and be better. It's all right. Faker down to about 300.
Lost the cannon.
He's fine. And all right, there's a shock blast, and Faker, oh, it's in the air, and there's first blood for Chovy with a pyro blast.
Man, that is, for Faker, you feel like you did everything right there. You're just trying to catch this wave, and then you flash, but the Q's in the air.
And Canyon just presses EQ from off screen, and that's what kills you.
It's the worst feeling ever when you flash and you see you're already dead when you hit the ground.
I'm wondering, was the shield on cooldown? He didn't have enough mana.
Mana was so low.
His mana was pretty low. That might have been it, because I was thinking maybe he's like flashing to buy time and shield, but the shield never came through. That definitely would have saved him.
We'll probably only know if we get the first-person view there of Faker, but we'll see when we go into the replay if we can.
I hope they don't do it to him, as Hepa Pulverize does come in from Carrier. Ruler once again finding a bit of an angle here with his rebuttal, but the unstoppable onslaught delivers Faker to the bot lane, and Ruler, he has to try and dodge it, therefore walking into the waiting arms of FaZe. And there is the answering kill for T1.
Yeah,
They did it twice. This time there's no flashes.
I think, oh, Doran's in trouble here.
Yep, Shock Blast does come on through. The Grim Deliverance comes down. The Ragnarok is going to be there for long enough to get Doran out to safety as the Dawning Shadow comes on through. Owner there for the defense, and Keen, oh, he wants this Crystalline Overgrowth. He'll hit it, and the flash immediately has to be used to get this Zehen out of there.
So it ends up being a trade up in terms of summoners for T1, with Keen beating his flash, and it was only the Ghost
We
there.
are going to see it.
Yeah, but from Canyon's perspective.
Any moving 되나?
Very nice.
And here, it's the same play from Faker. You know, the ult comes through from Poppy as they realize they're in trouble, but Faker drives right between the Tri-Brush, and he's dead again.
Huh.
That's surprising. Not sure what led to that, but obviously...
Kill bot lane, die mid lane.
I
Kill
see
bot
a
lane,
Poppy.
die mid lane is that's the equilibrium that we're going to hit.
Yeah, the Malignant Spike is there for Chovy, but you would expect at some point Faker can kind of just brush a lot of the damage off.
It was a Poppy there, and I think he may have been a bit zoned in the lane as a flank.
Ow. Question mark. As Ruler this time doesn't have the rebuttal, he's going to get snared. There's the heroic charge back, but Carrier running real fast with that Ghost, and Ruler has nothing he can do. He just dies.
You know, I think with the Mel, you're so good at playing into sort of longer ranged abilities. You have that rebuttal or just anything you can reflect, but into things like a Scion or an Alistar, you just don't have tools really to outplay them. If you land the root, great. If they sidestep it, if it misses, if it's not used at the most effective time, they just get on top of you, and then there's nothing you can do. I'm looking at this enemy composition as the Mel, and it's kind of nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it's not really working.
And it's, you know, when you're this far up in the lane without flash, very easy to punish you, which has happened now twice. I mean, really three times. The first time they got the flash, and then the next two they were able to get kills before he came up. As Chovy just whittles away at Faker, and Faker pushes onto Chovy for one more auto here. Just tries to charge Q? I don't know.
He really likes pressing Q.
Yeah.
The shield was on cooldown as well, again, in this situation. He used it early in a trade, so didn't have that available. Nice sidestep there by Carrier, and then holds the combo for the Steadfast Presence from Duro. And does a short combo at the end, just to catch out Ruler. Really well played to set up that one. Pays now with the Static Shiv, especially when you're playing into a mage in the bot lane. Having extra wave clear that the Shiv offers goes such a long way. Obviously, this is the standard build to go the Static Shiv early on center, but it's definitely a big pickup when the enemy Mel has Ludens already.
I'm starting to very strongly feel like Doran is going to have to do some heavy lifting in this game because Faker is so far behind. And the Senna is ahead, but that doesn't necessarily translate to a big mid-game or anything like that yet. She needs more souls.
No.
Canyon's here again. Oh, not one more time.
Chovy holds the flash, decides he doesn't want to go for it. And so now Faker going to have to try and keep himself alive. Channels another Q, and now Oda makes his way in. Canyon flashes. Dawning Shadow comes down, and there's the flash from Oda to follow, and down goes the Jace. Oda here to save the play, and now Carrier will find the flash from Chovy as well.
This Triforce spike on the Wukong, you can see after the initial flash, they weren't sure if they wanted to extend the play, but Ona's like, no, I have the damage, follow me. And he absolutely did to take out the Jace and Chovy, having a flash as well, punishing there the attempt to threaten Faker's tower. And the thing is, so in terms of Faker's position in the lane now, he has upgraded Merc Treads. He's going to get the Koenig Rukin soon. He'll feel much better then, but I'm a little worried they'll just switch lane and put him into an AD champion after that.
Yeah, that's what I'm most concerned about. I mean, there is a, the bottom laner obviously is also AP in the smell, but the Zahen lane can work really well.
He actually went the Glacial Shroud just on that base, so got a bit of armor first. But yeah, damage comes in from that Shock Blast, the Magic Shield doing nothing there. They go for the push in, and then this time Faker has the shield available, so he can ult freely with the initial peel and the flash. Faker turns back, but Ona's like, no, I have the damage, I have this spike, and Chovy having to flash away as well.
This is a small win here for T1. Really evens out the gold quite a bit. But I think they need to do more to protect this Senna through this mid game than just, to be able to get this gank onto Canyon and Chovy there. So he needs to be set up for success with the gold lead he has. FaZe has everything he needs to rocket into an amazing late game, to be a super strong late game AD carry threat, big powerhouse, especially with how ahead he is over Ruler specifically. Ruler isn't going to have as easy of as a path there, but that means the front line needs to play well. And when Faker's behind, it means the Olaf and the Wukong are going to have to pick up the slack. And if they can set FaZe up for success, I do really favor the game state here for T1, but it's yet to be seen.
Ruler will at least be able to clear out these waves pretty comfortably. Finds yet another nice rebuttal onto FaZe, who does have Piercing Darkness, so he'll be fine. Ona coming on over here, spotted by Duro, as that sweeper did at least find the monkey. Feels pretty good. And Faker is once again taking a lot of damage here towards his bottom side of the map. I think as this game goes on, we need to feel less and less concerned.
Well, it's the fact that he went for the armor, and we were talking about the concerns of him playing into an AD champ, but it means he's delayed his Koenig, and he hasn't gotten to the point where the Annie lane is just easily manageable, that we normally see things like Galio or other tanks hit into. He would have had the Koenig right now if he'd gone for it, but we'll just get some plate damage here. Canyon going for the money gangs we've kind of seen this game.
Yep.
Yeah, and he has a significant lead. It's not the most amazing, but he went for the early Serpent's Fang, which is very cost efficient and great into this composition for what it's doing right now. And Ruler has his first item, which is a little bit more of a damaging item than FaZe's first item. But again, it's about the fact that FaZe got that gold, has this item, and is looking for a second as he's also getting those stacks. Like, that's the extra element that you can't get from ganks. You actually have to get it over time. Still gated by game progression in that sense. So let's see what they could do to protect him and get him through this next part. If Gen.G get double dragon with the prio we talked about they should have in this game early and we end up with a really strong soul like Hextech Soul, it's going to get a little bit tougher here for T1. But they'll have to get that double dragon first.
Hextech Soul with their composition would just be disgusting.
I feel like Chemtech Soul would also be kind of crazy, though, with a Zehen.
On the Zehen, yeah.
And a Poppy, there's a Molten Shield.
Not the... it's a Poppy.
I'm just trying to say that no matter what the Soul is, it could be fun. As Carrier going to take a bajillion damage. Does have the Unbreakable Will, so he doesn't necessarily need to completely go back home right now.
His will seems somewhat breakable there, I will say.
All right, Faker is just going to ult his way towards this dragon, but the Shock Blast value is gigantic. Gen.G utilizing that range advantage that we've been talking about. Finally, we're seeing it in effect.
And they regain prio on this dragon. And now they're going to look to control this zone here into the choke point as the Shock Blast rain through.
Oh dear, Faker in a lot of trouble now, has to flash into the red pit. And I think that will spell the end of T1's contest of this dragon. And Double Dragon's great for Gen.G, not the end of the world for T1 to have to give this one up. And I think dying on that hill is not what you want to be doing. FaZe coming on over, just grabbing as many souls as he can. Feeling good about that. As Duro looking to gank and Olaf. Let's see whether they can get the Ragnarok at least. As he's going to get pushed back. It is going to be a Mountain Soul. Oh my god, if T1, if T1 get control of this game again and stack 4 Mountains, it's unplayable for Gen.G. Absolutely. As now Doran taking so much damage. Dawning Shadow is going to at least soften up Chovy a little bit, as the exhaust was used just to get rid of him. And now FaZe throws the Rift Herald towards this outer turret in the mid lane. Ruler not with enough wave clear to clear this one out quickly enough. As first turret is going to be the race here as Ona finds Canyon. Canyon does get the Hammer Boot back and does have himself a Blast Cone in order to escape. But that is going to be first turret going over to Gen.G and extending that gold lead.
Yeah, should see FaZe answer here in the mid lane. And Ona with a lot of pressure. He has to be careful of Chovy over the wall.
Yeah. Oh, low 4 health! And Ona is able to just turn around and say thanks for the red buff.
You know, the Wukong was once upon a time a counter matchup in the top lane for the Jace. You could see in that interaction with the Cyclone moments before that Canyon doesn't want to interact with him in the jungle at all if he can help it. He just wants to be very far away from him and a layering in poke. So I thought it was great that Owner found that pressure angle in to get on top of Canyon there and make a small edge. The value of the Cyclone in team fights is really high, but when there's no fight to be had, it's not really a cost that you're giving to actually utilize that to get a little bit more control. So really nice angle there Owner found. Still finds himself, though, with all that first strike gold and the extra farm here, significantly behind in the matchup as Cyclosword comes through here for Canyon.
Yeah, big spike.
Yeah, huge. Has the Siphon's Fang as well, which is great value into the Olaf, into the Scion in particular, and some value into the Senna for the ultimate. We have now got the Koenig Ruka for Faker, so he should be able to just weather the storm in this matchup pretty comfortably.
Still taking a lot of damage here from Chovy, who is just able to walk around and hit him with as many spells as he can. I've never seen an Annie worry about mana more, because he just needs so many spells, because this health bar is so large.
His damage numbers on this Annie are going to be above average.
Absolutely absurd.
Yeah. Let's just say above average. I would hazard to guess. I think a pretty safe guess as these shock blasts hurt.
Looks like he's going for the Leandri seconds.
Yeah.
Really going for a burn-based bear. Which
you got to do it. I mean, look at this comp.
Yeah, I mean, it's great value in this situation. Obviously, going for a one-shot build only really matters if you can reach Pays, and even if you do, you have to deal with the rest of the team. So
it's okay. Ruler's got the burst for that, right?
Yeah.
Canyon's got the burst for that. They are the ones who kill the Senna. You're the one.
And also, if we're being honest, if Chovy drops a bear onto Pays' head, I think whatever build, it's probably going.
As long as it's got some ability power in it.
Well, we might see just avoid stuff after that, and then, man, he will just not really worry too much about the champions on T1. So does Chovy. Faker completely out of mana. The flash forward to block the unstoppable onslaught. Apparently it is a little bit stoppable, but Faker isn't. He's able to walk his way out as Tib is able to come back and join this fight. And that is Duro hoping that that was the other Wukong, but the decoy can't walk. So they watch him leave. So Faker will be able to keep himself alive.
Pays' ult was a huge difference maker there for Faker as well. Faker just gets out.
All right, well, Gen.G, they don't lose anyone. And they do, I guess, theoretically gain some tempo in that play. But Doran still able to catch this mid-wave. Chovy moving over and will be able to utilize his brand new Leandries that he just put together. Minute and a half on the Drake. Probably going to be their next point of contention between these two teams.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, dear. Yeah, Carrier is in a little bit of an odd spot. There is the Keeper's Verdict, though. They get rid of the cow. And that is now Poppy ult on cooldown.
Yeah, trade of support ultimates will feel pretty good, I think, for Gen.G because they're not necessarily that worried about ulting people away with this comp that has a lot of poke, whereas Courier needs that durability.
Yeah, especially for that dragon fight. But with the Zeeks, it does give a lot of ultimate, gives you the ultimate ability haste and just some ability haste. So 50 seconds, I think it will be back up for Carrier by that point. You'll be able to play around it. This dragon, though, this next one, going to be a big one. Both teams so close in terms of gold. We just had Owner complete Sundered Sky. This 2-item spike for the Wukong. Very significant, very relevant. And he's going to be a main factor, I feel like, in this next team fight. If he can get access to those squishier targets, which, let's be honest, there's a lot of them on the side of Gen.G. He can do so much damage.
All this lethality, even with the extra Brutalizer Canyon has, if he hits an Empowered Shock Blast on the Pays and Ruler hits 1Q, then presses R, Pays is either dead or so low health that he is practically dead and has to leave. So his positioning needs to be really good here when we set up for these objectives. Gen.G have Prio now. Faker's going to TP over and try to wrestle some of that away.
Yeah, Team makes his way in there as well as Faker turns up. Avoiding a fair bit of this poke right now as Duro going to get snared. Doesn't snare the rest of his teammates though, as Doran is on a flank angle and he is so scary if he can get into this backline. Shock Blast goes wide. Actually could be a big deal as there is the flash in from Carrier, but he's a little bit disconnected from the rest of the team. They're chasing Chovy out of there. The Undertow's thrown the other way, but the flash to follow from Doran. In the meantime, the rest of the fight, Gen.G trying to pull it back, and the flash forward from Keen gets the kill onto the cow, and Chovy somehow playing a weird game of tennis where the dragon is the net. What the heck was going on there? As the snare not going to connect onto Faker, who looks to get himself out. These health bars are so low. How is this just a 1-for-1? T1 get control of the Drake. and just leave it there.
Goes so well for T1 because Doran occupies Chovy on the backside of the fight. Chovy never gets access to come in. And I was watching Carrier's ult. As soon as it comes available, he just goes in, pops the ult, has the Zeke's AoE on them as well. Owner's there with a follow-up, and even though they don't get the kills, they force them to disengage. They get them low. They do have to respect there's a hen with the fully stacked passive, but he only gets Carrier. And you see Chovy.
Chovy used the Dragon Wake Up to get some space there. He was able to force the Dragon to knock him away.
Ragnarok ended as well. It was crazy timing.
Doran was trying to use the Dragon to kill him, but then the Dragon was hitting him, and then Tibbers, and it was a whole mess. It was crazy. It was only a 1-for-1, but T1 end up having the pressure advantage. They didn't, though, get to finish off the Dragon. A reset comes in first, and neither team even playing towards it right now after the reset.
Yeah, they're just pretending that someone took it, I guess. We will need to go back and grab some control of that one, but the waves are going to be dealt with first.
We are getting to the point of the game, though, where you can really feel how difficult it is to kill Doran. And in that last fight, Chovy had some shenanigans, right? Was able to buy a bunch of space, escape, run away, etc. Dragon got angry. But in a more traditional setup fight for T1, where it's not split like that, and he's not chasing Chovy alone, he's going to on top of Ruler. Things get a little bit different as Gen.G again have this prio now.
Well, into the pit goes Doran, but he immediately gets pulled back, taking so much damage. Dawning Shadow keeping him alive, but he will be taken out. They traded for Ruler, but there's still a lot of damage left here for Gen.G. The Grim Deliverance from Keen. Carrier right in amongst it, but he's going to be taken out. And now it's Owner that's in there doing battle. Finds the Poppy, but that's just the support. And that is going to be the Drake going over to Gen.G, keeping their whole top side alive and just foregoing the bottom lane and not really caring.
You know, Wolf, I think Doran heard what you said and took it a little bit too hard because he jumped in by himself and just got melted.
He needed more nearby there, and when he's down and the Annie is still alive, the damage throughput from the Senna you talked about in the draft earlier, even on 3 items, it just isn't as strong as other traditional AD carries. It's
especially
very slow.
when she's not there.
Yeah, it's not there in the beginning of this fight as Doran goes in and just gets melted. And the knockoff here of the Wukong means that there's not enough to lock people down for pace to do the damage. Keen's ult here is fantastic, and he is unkillable. He has the res.
Yeah.
And when Owner gets back in, he's just burned down as Keen holds the line, and T1 do not have enough damage in this Senna to actually secure the kills.
Hayes spent pretty much the whole fight autoing a Keen who had a res with a bear sitting on top of him in his face. And there's just not much you can do in that situation. Doran a little bit over-aggressive in that situation, and it allows Gen.G to get that 3rd Dragon off the game. Damage dealt. Yeah, Chovy's done a lot of damage. I wonder who that damage has been dealt to.
It's so fake. And the thing is, like, I think Chovy deserves a lot of credit for doing a lot of damage in a lot of games, right? The Galio was such an incredible thing, but, like, he was just hitting a Scion all game.
Now he's got the Leandri's burn on it. The Malignant's burn is there. I mean, it's
he's wearing a lot of masks, as we can see here. I think that the main thing, though, is that Chovy is able to do a lot of damage to this bulky lineup, and they have Soul Point now as well. I mean, Gen.G are not going to be taking damage if they manage to get themselves a Mountain Soul, and then the setup for the Elder. I mean, I don't know whether T1 will have enough time to get this Senna scaled up, you know, to have that advantage. As the unstoppable onslaught here from Faker is optimistic, as Chovy does have those Swifties. The rest of T1 looking for an angle, but Owner's approach is going to get denied, and I think Faker is just going to go down. Chovy comes on over, does have a Q, but it's Canyon that grabs the kill. The rest of T1, Baron is at least able to take this turret in the bottom lane, but he's got a teleport in hand.
Baron's up, and without half of the front line, I think they just focus him down again. If he decides to show up, he is going to come here a little bit late. Gen.G playing this slow. Duro on the flank.
Yeah, Keeper's Verdict going to be a big deal, but it's on cooldown.
And again, he's looking for it.
Yeah, Flash not quite available just yet. Aizen is going to stop that one. Carrier in so much trouble. Gen.G looking for the turn. A better Baron play than their last one, we have to admit.
Oh, Doran gets caught here.
With the wraparound. And Chovy is going to be able to find him with that stun. He has to throw down the Ragnarok, but using it defensively, he doesn't get a lot of time. And Keen wants that angle. Owner is going to find him. And it looks like Keen is going to get dissuaded, and the Baron will be foregone for now.
I think, honestly, T1 pretty happy with how that panned out. The fact that they were threatening that Doran flank, he obviously gets focused down, but unable to catch him out because of that ult here. Faker ends up going aggressive. They want to make a proactive play, but the double TP instantly turns things around, and T1 decide they can't follow up
Not
on this.
to mention the keeper's verdict, which denies Keria from being able to stick around and buy space for a potential Doran TP. Because if this starts to go better, Doran TP's in to match, and then maybe they could have found something there. But like you said, denying the Baron felt like best case scenario for T1. They're able to do that, because if they lose the Baron there, they lose the Soul as well, and that means Mountain Soul goes over, but they were able to fight tooth and nail to hold on to that one. And the only gold lead here is Paze, right? He's getting bigger and bigger. He's post 70 stacks here on this Senna, but the rest of the team is so far behind that it doesn't necessarily matter. And we mentioned this so long ago in the game, is going to be a big responsibility for Doran to maybe be a frontline so that Paze can actually go with him in terms of target selection. Doran gets on top of somebody, Paze layers that damage with Faker there. They just haven't been able to set up those phalanxes for the Paze. They haven't been able to find the right targets, and it keeps being someone from T1 goes in and gets burned down, and Paze is like, I'm trying back here, but I can't quite get it done alone. 50 seconds until that dragon spawns here, and T1 absolutely cannot give this one up.
And we get the rapid fire for Paze, a big spike, being able to play around that just ungodly center range. So hopefully on the back of this can get a bit better target access following up on the setup from the team.
And on this Drake fight, it looks like Shadow Flame not quite done yet. For Ruler, he really wanted to collect that item. I mean, Chovy has 3. His Shred is ridiculous now as well. As Duro not too worried about Keria.
Even with the gold lead for Gen.G, I think just on item completions, T1 have an edge right now. GA came in for Owner as well. These are some really good item spikes to have, but it's going to come down to execution at the end of the day.
Yep. I think this Keeper's Verdict is going to be such a big deal as well from Duro. Keep your eye on him to see what this Poppy can actually accomplish here. As Owner with that GA at the ready, looking to make his way in. That is Faker engaged on. He takes so much damage as Keen wanted to stack up that passive. Faker is not going to be able to start any fights with that low health bar, and his teleport is available. He may need to use it.
I think that's exactly what he's going to do.
They can get that big shield and he can front line with that.
They're just going to focus the dragon now. They've done enough work here. Keria getting low.
Yeah, Gen.G going to try and hold on to this one. Remember, this is Mountain Soul, T1. They cannot give this one up, but Faker makes his way back. The rest of his teammates looking a little worse for wear, though, and Paze just needs to hammer that Q button over and over again.
But again, only hitting Keen, and no one else cares, and the shot
the flash forward from Keen, but he misses. Doesn't get on top of Paze, who gets his exhaust off. And now Keria gets into that backline. Chovy able to avoid Paze. Grim Deliverance is denied. And now the Dragon should belong to T1. A double. Doran as he gets into the backline, but it's Ruler that locks that one down. Owner should be able to secure this Dragon, but that is going to be the snipe from Canyon to try and even out this trade. And it will not be even in the end. T1 deny the soul and win the fight.
Faker once more here. They are going to try to collapse.
And Faker's health bar looking a whole lot better now. As Ruler is going to be able to snare him. The flash forward. And Ruler will get that speed up from the W.
This was such a chaotic fight. I've got to say, there was a lot of mishaps from either side. We see it starting off. It's Keen trying to set up this grab on a Paze, but Paze flashes. And then Keria actually fails the combo when he flashes in. But then Doran gets access.
And Doran gets exhausted, but it doesn't matter. He's in ult, and he's just running through this team. The Keeper's Verdict can't impact him either. And even though he goes down, he did enough. And it feels like for the first time in any of these Olaf fights, he was able to make the difference, buy the space to allow Paze to follow up on those prio targets, and they make it work. They get the first dragon of the game. They put a huge dent in the gold lead. The stacks are rolling, and Paze is deathless on this Senna. His positioning has been very good, and finally, Doran sets him up.
He is very big.
I think a big thing as well is that since the last fight we had, Doran able to pick up Death Dance and Hex Drinker, so he just feels so much harder to cut through. And when he starts getting kills, he's getting the Death Dance cleanses to reset the bleed. He is very... Oh my lord, that range!
Oh dear.
Rapid fire cannon coming in hot!
And Ruler not going to be able to stand toe-to-toe, and won't even be able to really stand near the minion wave. And Paze is going to find Duro. Steadfast Presence not really doing anything at all as the snare is going to connect. Dawning Shadow! And Duro is very durable. That is going to be GA now down for Owner as they overextend a little. Faker moves in, and even Tibbers stays alive. Keen, very frightening as well, level 17 on this Zahan.
The Maw,
3-1 and 2.
The Maw here for Doran makes him... I think when we see the next big fight, I mean, he just has to run at whoever Paze tells him to, and they shoot... Paze shoots at whoever Doran is running towards, and it feels almost impossible to lose fights now at this stage because he's so big on this Senna.
Well, Tibbers is going to go flying around just a little bit here. Gen.G getting control of this top side. That shock blast, I mean, this poke is still such a huge deal. The range is something that we cannot really forget about. As T1, they need to be so decisive and start fights before their health bars just reach 0.
He's poking tanky targets as well. He's hitting the Scion. It's doing so much damage.
Is now done 4 items on this Jace.
Yeah, he's super strong. And the fact that he's got 35,000 damage, like remember, Chovy inflated that number massively by just hitting the Scion all laning phase and even outside of lane. Canyon, this is just
camps and then poke.
Yeah. He's hit some really, really big ones. Hasn't always been onto the Senna, but
through Celestial opposition.
Yep, it doesn't even matter if he's not hitting the Senna, if he gets enough time to hit these shock blasts, though, as Faker's gone a little bit halfway in terms of building both the armor right and the magic resistance, so it feels less tanky than Doran in a lot of ways because Doran has his ult running. He is level 18 at this point, 3 levels up on Faker, but it's all about whether or not the Shock Blast hits pays, or if they get enough time to Shock Blast enough of the front line with Chovy's burn damage coming through. They can't start a Baron yet. They don't have a traditional 80 carry. They do not have enough control, so this game is once again going to slow down a little bit here, and I think likely the next fight will be on the Dragon, not the Baron, in about 90 seconds.
I am terrified to see the damage if Canyon hits a Shock Blast onto Pays.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. As the Shock Blast is going to connect onto Faker. That one,
the thing is,
we're not too worried about.
So much
I would love
money.
to see his first strike numbers.
Because, I mean, that's the thing with First Strike is that, you know, obviously in lane, if you're playing a laner with it, you can proc it pretty consistently if you're in the right matchup, but you don't have the damage to really back it up. This is the point where Canyon has the damage to back it up. This is where First Strike really spikes, and he's just printing more and more money. Unfortunately for himself, he only has 1 more item slot, but getting towards that pretty quickly.
Yep, BF Sword now in pocket as well. We'll see what he's going to turn that one into, as a GA is probably on the way. Owner does now have 4 items himself. Black Cleaver is now done. We've got a couple of those.
If you can start stacking these Mountain Dragons as T1 as this game gets longer, it's huge, but we're already so late into the game. I don't think Soul's on the table for them, but denying it from Gen.G is massive, and that's permanent if Gen.G get it, whereas this Baron is only temporary, and all of those inner turrets are still up. So getting Baron doesn't mean you're sieging to win the game either. You're playing it so much wave.
God.
And yeah, he is big. He is the biggest. He also gets 2 extra, you know, bling bling control wards, because why not? I've got so much money.
And you also get free crit, so he's just got, I mean, he basically had 100% crit anyway, but then that gets turned into more damage.
But he got hit!
Stacks, and he does get hit, does do a lot, but the Piercing Darkness is going to be there to keep the center somewhat healthy. There's the interrupt from Keen, being a bit of a hero to try and keep Ruler safe. And it is going to be successful, as Doran now with that steadfast presence. Doran not actually going overly aggressive against Gen.G, as the Dragon has spawned. Keen in a little bit of trouble. Oh my god!
That's it. I mean, that's all you need. Now Pays is in so much danger if he sticks around.
That was the thing that we were scared of seeing, and now we know why we were scared of seeing it.
Yeah, that's the Mountain Soul, I think.
That's enough.
Just got it. That's it. It's that simple, and it hasn't been really hitting this whole game, but it does twice.
Doran realizes that he's probably been seen based on the movement of Gen.G, and the Keeper's Verdict is not going to come
He just wants to make sure Owner doesn't steal. He just wants to make sure Owner doesn't steal, so he channels it. If Owner runs in, he just knocks him away. They wait for it, secure the Dragon. I felt like in that moment you could see Gen.G couldn't even believe that T1 was giving it up, but they did. And yes, he's got a lot of stacks. He's got 100 crit. He's got the additional damage from the IE, but if he gets hit by 2 shock blasts, if he gets hit by a 3rd, he dies, and they might lose more than a Dragon, so he has to leave, and the Dragon goes over, and now Gen.G can put their focus on the top side of the map.
Isn't it so unfair, though? You just get hit by 1 ability from Canyon, and then, oh, well, I just hit a massive item spike. I was ready to play the game. I guess I'll just go and take a break.
I do have a solution.
What's that?
Don't get hit.
Ah!
I have another solution. Have your front line stand between you and the Jace.
I think that is that included in Don't Get Hit?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a great strategy, though.
That helps with the Don't Get Hit.
It's on this very deep flank, and is now trying to find an angle. Oh, TP coming in. They're going for a play.
Yeah, Keen actually cancels his back there as well, as Carrier is going to find him. Faker looking for an angle here. Let's see whether Keen can actually buy enough time, because Doran and Owner are both running up.
This is a Zahin.
Is going to follow, as Keen does have the ulti. He's doing a lot of work and has charged up the passive. It's going to take a long time as now Canyon gets on in here. There is the chase as they look to get on top of Doran, the Dawning Shadow, to keep him alive as it's both of them going down. In the meantime, though, Pace just dead to Chovy. The bear burns him down, and Chovy throws a Q into a decoy, but eventually finds the right Wukong, and Faker might be able to push Chovy away, but the damage, it has been done, and Gen.G will wipe them off the map.
This felt like a winning play for T1, but then Paze gets exploded by Chovy, and suddenly, without that damage, without that DPS, without that Senna, everything falls apart, and Gen.G will claim the Baron.
And it is so crazy how much damage Doran took from Canyon at this late game stage. Like, oh, Olaf, he's going in, and then he goes almost 100-0 as well as they trade their lives in the beginning of this. And we're going all the way to the beginning of this replay, which is a little bit longer here, but it allows Gen.G to group up. But watch where Paze is on the left side, where Chovy is trying to match him. He has to go super far away because if they catch him, he dies, but he needs to rejoin his team because he feels like they're starting to lose control of the top side fight. He ults here, but watch Chovy. Chovy does not wait. He's got a control ward there, and he just 100-0s him. And Paze's first death, maybe his last in this game, is now Gen.G have so much siege to push and control. They have the Mountain Soul, and it gets so much harder from here.
You know what's crazy is that we were talking about how Chovy's gone for this more burn-heavy build. He did obviously just finish the Rabadons before that, but Paze had Cleanse and Flash, and I just don't think expected to get one shot.
Well, the way Chovy was walking, he looked like he was clicking on the team fight, right?
Yeah. I mean,
then just
he faked it really well.
Flashed on his face, and he was just dead.
But I think in Paze's mind, he's like, I don't die here. I have Cleanse Flash. He was pretty late with the Cleanse.
Yeah. Either way, an impressive play from Gen.G, and now full control in their direction. 4,000 gold the lead, but the... Oh my lord! Okay, Canyon. He's now got 6 items. Like, this guy, you were mentioning the money printer. He doesn't need the money printer anymore.
He's a damage printer now!
Yeah, he is.
And my god, the accuracy is going up the later this game goes, and with more and more items. That's a good pairing, as Paze obviously has a lot of sustain, and given a little bit of time, can get his health back to full, as you can see here. But, man, you get hit by another one of those, and suddenly you lose an inhibitor.
Well, you've got Ruler now trying to push this one in. Does manage to take down the inner turret thanks to the crystalline overgrowth. That is going to be that gold lead extending a little bit further. The top wave has not been tended to at all by Gen.G, and so they're going to be pinging that one out now, looking for a reset, buying some items, and then going for the top lane push. The key. But this Baron is... I don't think it's going to break open the base or anything like that, and the Elder is what we need to worry about.
The key is the Elder, right? And they're going to have... If they don't get any inhibitors, they should have some prio and they should have some control, but it's not as good as it could have been. But when you are the team that has this much poke and this much turn with the Annie, right, the Zahin that can charge on you, it's hard to be the approaching team. And Doran, when he presses R, the timing of that, how he does it, the fact that he doesn't have Ghost now, but he will have it for that fight, these are all really important things. And T1 still have the opportunity to turn this game around after what looked like a potentially game-losing catch there onto Paze. They still have one more shot at this despite everything.
What's really important is normally you fight at Dragon, you burn your summoners, they're up for the next Dragon. But we didn't get a fight at Dragon. It was the Shock Blast onto Paze that meant there wasn't a fight. They used their flashes after. So going into this Elder, there's going to be a lot of summoners not actually available yet. You can see Paze's flash 3/4 of the way. Dragon's up in 50 seconds. There's so many of these summoners that will be down. That's going to make it such a tense setup.
Another Shock Blast is going to connect. It's not on to Paze this time, so it's not as much of a jump scare as the rep buff will be secured. They're now looking for Faker, who does have to use the ultimate.
So much control is Gen.G's right now. Like, they're pushing them back. Faker's pushed out, doesn't have his ult now.
But T1 have to contest it.
They have to. They have to, and they don't have great tools. Keria is going to use his unsealed TP to get back into the mid lane here and join Paze so they can push that prio and look for a wraparound. But this is do or die, and Gen.G held all the cards for this really critical objective, a game-winning one.
And the thing that's really frustrating here for T1 is that one of the biggest counters to Olaf is just getting burst down. And Gen.G's composition does that. Like, that's its whole job, is to burst a target and take them out of there. They even have a Mel for execution. And so I feel like what we've seen from Doran in the past on this pick just feels way less possible unless he finds a beautiful angle to avoid a
They're looking for him. They don't know where he is. They're like, where is this Olaf? I want to see him. I need to know where he is. It's behind them.
Just TPing for the shield right now. Oh, it doesn't actually have it.
Oh, he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
As, all right, Keen could be in a little bit of trouble. Grim Deliverance is available, so he will be able to keep that one alive as the Pulverize comes in. T1 looking for the angle is Keen. He gets the Grim Deliverance. He manages to keep himself alive, but everyone is going down lower, and there is another snare, so Keen is dead. In trade for Owner, the flash out from Duro might be able to keep him alive as Faker just being that front line, and T1 now have control of the Drake.
But with no jungler.
There's no jungler, and they have to deal with a teleport back in. With the health bar coming back, I mean, Canyon here is not going to be able to secure this without his teammates, so it looks like we're just going to have a bit of a reset here on the jungle for top lane trade.
And the big thing for me in this one was Duro's ult, because this play started off favorably for T1, but Doran gets ulted out by Duro from the Banana Brush, and then as a result, they just don't have the Olaf. Imagine if he's running into the backline now, how different this could have been.
It probably would have been the end of the game. I think, in almost every situation, but the fact that he's not there means that we get another free fight here.
There he is now.
Yeah, he turns around, but he's spotted so incredibly quickly. Chovy looks for the angle. The hell power of this Olaf is going down, but it's not going to fall! And Chovy dies! T1 fine, 2. Ruler is still alive, still has some damage, but Canyon will hit the deck, and that is 3 on the floor. T1 able to march up this bottom lane if they want to.
That's the late game Olaf comeback. You were talking about Atlas in the draft before we even got in the game. We've seen Doran do this before. In our minds, we're wondering about the simulation of what would happen if he was in that back line. And then we saw it before our very eyes. Ruler, the last to fall here. And I think T1 have pulled themselves to match point.
They've managed to do it once again. Doran on the late game Olaf comes in clutch, and this was not an easy game. This hasn't been an easy series, but T1 are looking to go to match point. Keen trying to defend.
Yeah, trying to kill the minion wave at least, but it's going to be very difficult. Doesn't get that passive, and Duro now with the Keeper's Verdict. Can he get rid of them? The answer is no. Now, he hits a few minions away, but that is about it.
Not enough.
And there are 7 seconds on Chovy, and I don't think that's going to mean anything at all. T1, 1 game away from Daejon. As out of the fountain goes Chovy, and back again he goes immediately as T1 will walk off the stage.